Hello again, thank you for joining me for another video. So today I was thinking about why I don't like the idea of going outside and trying to find a spot to film. There's this thing that would happen when we were homeless. So there's a park in Ashland, Oregon called Lithia Park, and it was one of the first places we stopped at once we had the van. And this is where I discovered that it is illegal to sleep in your own vehicle, which is the craziest, literally craziest rule ever invented. If anyone thought about that for 2 seconds, they would know that that's insane. That's where I discovered that. The other thing I discovered is that they will make other weird laws and rules, like pets can't be in certain areas of the park, and you can't smoke in certain areas of the park. And so what ended up happening is anybody who was a traveler or a homeless person, they didn't have like a very large local homeless population. They did have a large traveler homeless population because it's not that far from like Shasta and just the up and down the coast traveling that people without a residence of their own sometimes utilize. And so we sat on this little boulevard like a flock of human angels kicked out of the paradise of Lithia Park and cordoned off in this tiny little, half a block where we were allowed to be with our animals and where it was okay to smoke, because it wasn't technically inside the park. And if you got caught sleeping in your vehicle, there was an RV parked in one of the parking stalls overnight, and they knock on your door at 8 o'clock, and if you were in there and they had any way to tell that you were sleeping in there, you would get a ticket. This was my first exposure to the world I'm actually living in, right? Because that was not the world that I was taught about in books. And so I was in college up until 2013 or 2012-ish. So I had one class that the professor failed me in, and I had to redo that class, and then I could have graduated. She failed me for the most ridiculous reason ever. It's a long, tragic story, one of many unbelievable set of circumstances. Every attempt I've made to try to be a normal citizen in this normal society has failed. Not because I didn't try my hardest, but because really weird things would come up and prevent it from happening. I am still a little unclear most days of what my purpose is, but I know it is not to be a college professor, even though that's what I really wanted to do. I'm not sure if it is to be an author, even though I've written 3 books. Can't quite get that last chapter to line up in a way that anyone else is gonna, want to read and think it was worth their time. I'm digressing. I was talking about the time I was homeless 10 years ago after studying psychology and studio art for 4 years. I think it was like 3 years that time. I had gone earlier. And I'd done all the hard stuff, right? So we had a senior thesis that was where you had to write a 12 to 15 page research paper, original research idea. It was on multicultural psychology, and so you just so much you had to read. And one of the things I noticed was all of these things tend to happen to poor people. I wonder if there is a connection, and I wonder why nobody's saying anything about it. Because the impression is always, if you try hard, you will get whatever you want. That is still so loud, and you must try hard. But have you checked to make sure that the thing you want is actually appropriate for you? Because that's what's really hanging up a lot of people. Because our own purpose and desires and motivation have been usurped so much, and it causes damage. But digress again. So one of the things that would happen, so we would all like gather daily on that little boulevard that we were allowed right next to Lithia Park, and commune, essentially. I was very much in spirit at the time, so I would fall into meditation, and I'd open my eyes and realize that everyone was silent, and we were all kind of sitting cross-legged, and these were ruffians, right? There is a kid named Monk, because he was really into Buddhist thought and would talk about it a lot, and he really wanted to be a monk, but he was just a traveler kid. And everybody had their rough stories, and every once in a while something would happen that was absurd, orchestrated. It was out of sync. You could feel the vibration of it wasn't natural. Like someone would come along with their dog who would like get in and out of everybody's business and like bark at the people walking, and blow the spot up is what it would be called. You couldn't stay there anymore. They would make it impossible to stay there. So we would be having these peaceful, moments of communion, and then someone would blow the spot up. So one time it was a girl who came in with her dog who would attack the other dogs, or get the other dogs riled up in a way that they'd attack each other or attack that dog. You can't have a bunch of dogs. Like all our dogs would say that, fierce dogs. These dogs were protectors largely, right? Because if you're sleeping outside, you need a dog to alert you if danger's coming. So they were trained to protect their owners, or companions, whatever you want to say, and so you can't have trouble with the animal. So there would be like an Akita. God, what is that? What? Not Rottweiler. It's the other one that everyone's always like, oh, that's a rough dog. I can't think of it right now. Anyways, someone had an Akita. We had a big Akita Husky mix. I cannot remember the name of that breed of dog, and I know somebody would know it. It's not Rottweiler. It's the other one that people are always like, it's a fighting dog and they're scared of them. Anyways, he had one of those, and so those are pretty hyper protective dogs, and they would find to be on the boulevard with us, and like they didn't mess with each other. She'd brought her stupid little dog and let it kind of just harass them all into a fury. So situations like that. Another time, I think someone had their like head on their dog's like hindquarters, like one of the big dogs, and then this guy was like, where you have to call the police on you for putting your head on your dog because it's animal abuse. Another time a woman came, and I don't think she was like a regular traveler. She was like anyway, she blew the spot up. She sat down and she was loud and talking about drinking and trying to like sneak drink. And so you could sit in an area without causing chaos and commotion, and you could probably be there for a couple of weeks. But when you come in and you cause chaos, then all of the regular people, the normies, get upset and they don't want you to exist anymore, and they will run you out of town. Every time I went someplace, new town, and it wouldn't be long until we would have an interaction with police or some angry citizen who didn't think we had a right to be there. So my sense of not feeling like I have a right to exist doesn't come from some made up thing in my mind that I haven't, psychologically dealt with, but the literal way that people are. And finding that out, that people are literally that way, after studying for 4 years to try to fix society at a liberal arts college, trying to get a psychology degree to try to help fix society, and then being confronted with the almost zero help that is available, despite what everybody believes, and the just horrific treatment of people who have had some of the worst lives. And it's a strange sense of entitlement that people have to bully, to belittle, to negate the right of existence of others. So just because you don't pull a trigger or do something yourself to harm people, to stand by and allow such bureaucratic annihilation of your fellow citizens is, I guess it's the thing that I haven't gotten over. It's the reason why I haven't been able to settle into my skin, to feel like I'm part of society. Because I experienced that firsthand, the side by side where some people would come and bring you food and other people would want you to be dead. And trying to find a way, how do I live peacefully under the same, it's like if you're in the same household, like being, a citizen of the same country, where on one hand, it didn't matter that I had a almost college degree, that I was college educated. It didn't matter what kind of traumas I had experienced in my life. Anytime you fall so far out of social norms as to sit yourself on a plot of grass for 12 hours a day, it's like they believe then, many people, that they are entitled to stop treating you like a human. And they have inadvertently allowed human to become equated with worker. I'm not a worker. I'm a human, and I have a lot of jobs to do on my time on earth. And that's true for a lot of people. Like, we aren't all here to serve the beast. Some of us have other things to do. We have other purposes. I've tried really hard to serve the beast. Every time I've done that, God ruins my life so that I stop. That is not what I'm here for. It's really hard to be isolated and separated from a sense of community because I'm not able to do that thing that other people's lives are designed for. My life was not designed for that. So I can make walking amongst people, like I when I do the same thing, if I have a routine outside of my apartment, too much of a recognizable routine, invariably I will be accosted in that situation with someone blocking my path, someone allowing their dog to come after me, a car cutting me off, some kind of threatening sense of it's the strangest thing, and it never feels real. I gotta be honest with you. It feels orchestrated. It doesn't have the vibration of, there's a natural flow that kind of goes through life, and you can feel when the natural flow is interrupted. But finding the source of it and disposing of the source of it is tricky, because they seem to be able to be recreated. Like I understand how tulpas work. I understand how thought forms work, and projections, and spell casting, if you will. And, it relies on my energy would have to connect somehow with the tulpa or a thought form. So this tends to come in a different way. So I think even, like some of the old school shamans are having issues with whatever this weird projected thing is that is interrupting. So I've watched videos of people who are pretty accurate truth tellers, and you will often, if they are out and about, there'll be like sirens go by, somebody with a leaf blower, all of a sudden, like I was thinking about going to the park and then the cloud cover came. These weird like events where it's like the timing is ridiculous, where it's almost like this attempt is made to not let that the blooming happen, the prospering, the real creative energy. And I think that is really a thing, like this sense of entitlement that some people have is getting in the way of creating better for everyone. So people hold this sense of entitlement based on the rules of status that we're playing out, and then like hang on to it and cling to it for dear life. And it makes creating a better scenario for everyone kind of tricky. I just can't imagine what I would think about how I would be if I felt this sense of security as I walked around in the world, where I could speak to people from that spiritual place of sight. You know what I mean? Like I sense and I feel and I see, and it is hard to be put into the box of regurgitate, just silence the questioning and wear the mask and the false face, right? I want to be my genuine face. And I have all these memories of reality behaving unnaturally and unfairly and stupidly and so counter to what I was led to believe I was walking into. So yeah, there is a sense of entitlement to dehumanize others. Like everyone should have some confidence in themselves and some buoyancy to their life force. It should not come at the expense of other people's existence, because then it is a false life force. It is a false vitality. And if there was ever real danger on the planet, you're the first people to go. Like your whole idea of entitlement stops there. You are the first ones to go. So if you stop and think about it, you only cared about yourself. There's another tangential digression that I did not mean to take. The state of our society right now is actually ridiculous, because you aren't paying attention to what's coming around the bend, what all of us having these devices means, and the struggle that it is to communicate now, how much people have gone through in the hopes of a future, and that future seems to be one that gets farther and further away instead of closer. There are some days that I literally miss the times that I was homeless because I had other homeless people for company. And here, in the level that I'm at now, socially speaking, there is no company. There is no daily check-ins. There is no got your backs. It's everyone's on a status game. And it's a very different aspect of life, and that's where the majority of people are, is in this status game. And then once they think they won, then they think they are entitled to no longer allow you to play. They won, but that's not how it actually works. And yeah, so I still hope. Today I was like, I'm just gonna grab my camera and I'm gonna go over there, and then I was like, no, I'm not. No. And it's because of that. It's because everywhere I went, I was at other people's whim if they wanted to call the police on me for existing. That was a real thing that happened. I didn't make that up in my head. I literally got the police called on me for just being there. There's a million videos on YouTube about it that you can look up and see. It has psychological effects on a person. You don't feel like a citizen, like a fellow countryman, like there was a reason to go to college. If you can be dismissed for sitting on the ground, you can be dehumanized almost entirely for sitting on the ground, for sleeping in a vehicle. And now that I've been in an apartment for as long as I've been, this feels dehumanizing. I am clinging to the last of my spiritual connection to humanity because it is eroding the longer I sit by myself watching the status games that are completely unnecessary. I don't know that genius actually thrives in competition. At least not a competition which is life and death. At the end of a whip, Lots of ways that genius can flourish, but at the end of a whip is probably one of the dumbest ways to apply that force. So that's my ramble for today. I'll try to come back and ramble again another time. Take care.